All right, this is a super practical teaching type of video. By the end, you are going to have a calorie target. It's going to be calculated, understood, ready to use today, guys. I'm not selling you like a nutrition philosophy here. I'm going to give you the actual math, explain why it works, and show you how to use it in real life. So, quick caveat, I am a personal trainer and a behavior coach. I am not a registered dietitian, I'm not a doctor. This is general education for generally healthy adults. If you do have like a clinical condition affecting nutrition, you should work with your doctor and a registered dietitian. But for the rest of us, here's the framework I use with every single client ever. But the calorie conversation was where most people either like overcomplicate things to the point of paralysis or avoid it entirely. But overcomplicated looks like, you download an app that asks for your activity level, your metabolic rate, macro preferences, and then it like spits out a number that feels either impossibly low or like suspiciously high. And then you try to hit it for like a week, and then you're either starving or you feel like you're overeating and you don't understand the framework behind the number. So then you stop tracking altogether. And avoidance can look a little bit different, like, like clean eating, like, oh, I'm eating healthy food and I'm eating better portions and I follow some rules, like maybe you cut out sugar or you're trying to eat higher protein, but then you wonder why the scale hasn't moved for 3 months. Because without a calorie target, you don't have a system. You might have good intentions, but that's not all that matters. And the fitness industry makes a lot of money selling complexity, right? Complicated meal plans, custom macro splits, precise nutrition coaches. But what they don't tell you is that the math is actually super simple, like stupid simple. The starting point formula is accessible to anyone. You don't have to like make it perfect. Like it's really super easy. And the adjustment model is like a 5-minute weekly habit. Like anyone can learn how to do this. Most people are 2 calculations and 1 habit away from complete clarity. So here is the foundation. The body weight multiplier formula that I use with every client is this, okay? The formula is that you take your current body weight in pounds, and for a fat loss phase, you're gonna multiply by 14. And that's gonna put you in like a modest deficit that's sustainable and doesn't crash your metabolism. And that's like a loaded phrase. For maintenance, like you're trying to maintain weight, you're going to multiply your body weight by 15 or 16. And it kind of depends on your activity level, but that's where you're eating to sustain your current weight. And then if you're slowly wanting to build muscle, meaning you're trying to add body mass, you need to be in a slight surplus. So you're going to multiply your body weight by 17 or 18, okay? And that is your starting calorie target. It's not perfect, no formula is, but it's in the range, okay? And being in range and tracking is infinitely, infinitely more effective than just winging it, I promise you. Next, now that you have the formula for, you know, starting with those calories, you have that calorie target. Next, you're going to move on to protein. Protein is the first macro you're going to look at. So before you touch carbs or fat, set your protein target, and that is going to be 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And when I say that, I mean your per pound of ideal body weight, because if you're overweight, you don't need to go that high. Pick your ideal body weight, multiply by 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight every day. So for a 150-pound person, for example, that's like 120 to 150 grams of protein per day. So why protein first? Well, I'm so glad you asked. There's actually 3 reasons. One, protein has the highest thermic effect of food. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? That means that you burn more calories just digesting it compared to other macros. So you burn like 20 to 35% with protein as compared to like 5 to 10% for carbs. 2, it's the most satiating macronutrient, which means that it controls hunger better than anything else. And then 3, it protects muscle tissue even when you're in a deficit, because you want to lose fat, not muscle, right? But when you hit your protein first, the rest of the day becomes easier. And that's something I want you to remember, because your appetite is managed, your muscle is protected, and your calorie budget is already partially filled with the nutrient that is doing the most work. So you have your calories, now you have your protein target, and now we need to talk about filling in the rest. So after protein is set, roughly 40 to 45% of remaining calories from carbs, and the remaining 25 to 30% should be from fats. And this isn't like a super rigid number, it's a starting ratio, guys, starting point. So adjust based on things like what keeps you feeling full, what makes you feel more energized, and most importantly, what you can actually stay consistent with, okay? Carbs are not the enemy. I don't know why so many people demonize carbs. Carbs are fuel. They're energy, okay? The problem isn't carbs, it's carbs without tracking, right? Next, you have, your calorie target set, you've got your protein, you've filled in the rest with your other macros. So let's talk about adjustment mode. You're like your weekly review. The method I use and what I'm going to recommend to you is track everything that you eat or drink, anything that you consume, track for 7 to 10 days consistently. And then pick a day, maybe Sunday, okay, and review. So things you want to look for. If you review on Sunday, is the scale dropping a half a pound to a pound and a half per week? Because if it is, you should probably just leave everything where it's at if your goal is weight loss or fat loss. Now, if things are not moving for 2 consecutive weeks, then you might dial things back and drop 100 to 150 calories from your target per day. Now, if you're dropping faster than like a pound and a half per week, feels a little aggressive, you can always add 100 to 150 calories per day to kind of make your deficit less aggressive. But should be one small nudge per week, okay? No panic, no dramatic changes. That's too much too soon. And I want to talk about next some super common mistakes with you, okay? 1, eating back your exercise calories. Come on, don't. The formula already accounts for light to moderate activity. Don't then go blow your deficit by eating back calories because you're like, oh, my Apple Watch says I burned 300 calories in my last workout. I'm going to eat 300. You're just going to blow your whole freaking deficit. Don't do that. 2, underreporting. This is so common. Most people underreport by like 20 to 30% because they eyeball portions and they're like really optimistic thinkers and not in the most useful way. So use a food scale for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And then 3, most common mistake is changing way too many things at once. Adjust one variable at a time. If you're not hitting protein, fix that before you mess with your calories or something else. But I don't know why people confuse themselves and try to change too many things at once, and then you never know which of those things are the most effective. You can make guesses or assumptions, but most people aren't really good at that. But this system, having the formula for setting your calorie targets, the protein target, the adjustment model, is laid out in full inside my Stop Starting Over guide with the weekly review built in. So imagine having a number, not a vague eat clean intention, but a specific calorie target that you can understand and you can hit in real meals. Protein is set, you hit it most days. The weekly review tells you whether to adjust or whether to stay. You're not guessing, not panicking when the scale moves, not relying on willpower. You're just running a simple system that updates itself once a week. Okay, that's what clarity in nutrition actually looks like. So, 4 things for you to do today. 1, you are going to calculate your starting calories. So again, that's body weight times 14 for fat loss. Write that number down. 2, you are going to set your protein target. So 0.8 times your ideal body weight in pounds. That is your daily protein floor, the non-negotiable. 3, I want you to download something like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer today. Log every meal for the next 7 days. Do not change anything yet. Just get your baseline average, okay? And then 4, set a Sunday check-in on your calendar for the next 4 weeks. Every Sunday, if you hate Sundays, just pick another day, make it the same, and look at that week's average and apply the adjustment model. That's one decision. Every weekly review, take you 5 minutes, but the full nutrition pillar with the complete protocol, the adjustment decision tree, and everything built around it is in the Starting Over bundle. Comment blueprint, read more in the caption. Thanks.